Welcome to the Purposely Aligned Entrepreneur Podcast presented by Boss Girl Creative. This is episode number 491. Today, I'm talking about why you need a brand, not just a business. Now let's dive in. Hey, I'm Taylor Bradford, host of the Purposely Aligned Entrepreneur Podcast presented by Boss Girl Creative. I help small business owners turn their purpose into a paycheck, and it starts with visibility. In the online world, visibility equates to sales. So if you're dreaming of being the next $1 million entrepreneur, you've come to the right place because weekly I share visibility tips, brand advice, and business resources. So grab a notebook, your favorite pen, and a beverage, and let's do the work. Hello, Boss Girls. I'm Taylor Bradford, host of this podcast, and I'm so excited that you're here today. We are talking about why you need a brand, not just a business, which is kind of a continuation from last week's episode 490, where I'm like, is this thing on? Definitely an episode that you need to go listen to, as it will make more sense as I'm going through this episode and I make some references to last week's episode. So definitely give that one a listen. And yeah, before we get there, let's find out what's been going on in the land of social media. Social media headline number 1, TikTok launches an updated TikTok Academy marketing education platform. It's improved courses to help you up your TikTok marketing approach. Social media headline number 2, Instagram adds DM filters to assist creators. This could make it easier for creators to stay across their DM queries. Social media headline number 3, LinkedIn tests advanced AI assistant for recruiters. The bot will nominate the best candidates for your open roles. And that wraps up this week's social media headlines. Okay, so like I said at the top, today I'm continuing the conversation from last week and moving into building true brands and why it's about that and not about building businesses that sell things. Lately, I'm seeing people struggling and hearing how things just don't feel like they work anymore as they previously did, social media being the biggest one. And when you look back, like even 5 years ago, it was the same conversations. Like the conversations are still the same. And that's a little disturbing from the standpoint of, let me give you a friendly reminder, we're on rented space. Like these platforms that we use to market our businesses aren't ours. We didn't invent them. We didn't build them. We don't have money invested in them. So they're not going to be truly for us. We are just constantly trying to figure out how to be as loud as possible on these platforms. And so, yeah, I am still seeing people complaining about the algorithm as we've been doing for the last how many years? And I'm seeing more desperation. I've talked about this in the last few episodes where I'm seeing a line getting drawn in the sand and more kind of controversial style content, which I don't really think is super smart for creators to get involved in, but you choose you do you, like you don't have to listen to me. But I think it's always going to be this way. And if we are more in tune with selling a thing or offering a service or a product and not like thinking about it from a brand standpoint, I think we're always going to have those complaints, or we're going to always, talk about the algorithm and we're just, wanting to pull our hair out. And I think that's where the mindset needs to shift. We need to think about our businesses as brands and build them as brands, and then the sales will follow. I truly think that's what it comes down to. So is social media evolving? Absolutely, all the time. Is it that we are not adapting? Well, I think it's because we're focused on the wrong thing, like I just said. Is it that we're failing to create the right marketing messages? I kind of think so sometimes. Because it does go back to we're all using rented space to promote our businesses. Because we're humans, and humans are adaptable and humans are resilient. So it's not because we can't do this, it's because our focus is in the wrong place. And when I started to think about this episode, I was thinking about Sugar Creek specifically. And I started to look at the business of Sugar Creek. And I keep hearing in various groups about the wedding industry in my market that people are really struggling right now. People aren't having the year they thought they would have or they anticipated that they would have. And when I look at these issues from my lens, the lens that is still working, by the way, it's the purposeful intention that I made so incredibly important once I was able to take the reins and run the business the way I wanted to run it, which was way back in 2017. I was focused on creating a brand that could separate itself from the crowd, that could stand on its own legs. At the heart of business is a product or service or opportunity that it offers to the world. That's what business is. But business is just the thing that has an offer. That's simple, right? It's not a person or a personality. A brand, on the other hand, is the image. It is the personality that a business applies to its offers. So a business is quite simply the offer, and the brand is what gets you. It's what sucks you in. It's what creates the excitement, and it creates the relationship. So a business offers the thing, a brand is the heart and soul. So let's think about this a little further. Why do you think businesses hire celebrities as spokespeople? Because they know that they can't just sell a product and see results. They have to give their product and service an image that creates a connection. Look at what Mariah Carey has done for Christmas. And I think this thing with Mariah Carey is really only a couple of years old at this point. But now we are anticipating Mariah telling us that it's time in her sing-song voice. So look at what she has done in the last couple of years for Christmas. And also look at what Jennifer Garner has done for Capital One. What's in your wallet? Think about why brands bring on spokespeople to help them sell, because it creates a connection. So when you think about the difference between businesses and brands, it's very black and white. Businesses have a product or an offer. Brands are the heart and the soul. Yet we seem to get ourselves stuck in a gray area when it's truly black and white. And if we stay stuck in the gray, we see the decline happen in the results we were once getting. Brands build trust. They build rapport. They create connection. And if your own Instagram feed is full of business and marketing messages, you are most likely alienating anyone that is currently interested in the offer that you have, which means your audience has narrowed. And you're not giving people a reason to follow you because you're just not the right fit. We buy because of relationships. Think back to all of the homework I gave you last week. People buy because of connection. So if we are just operating as a business, just an entity that has an offer, and we're just constantly sharing that offer over and over and over, we are only reaching a super narrow audience. And then if people in that narrow audience don't need your offer, they have zero reason to be part of your brand. A brand is not just the visual components. It's not just the colors, it's not just the logo, it's not just the fonts. It's about personality and voice. So I want you to shift your focus to building a brand, not just a business. I learned really quickly that the wedding world was a very narrow one with very different business rules. Think about this, especially if you're not in the wedding industry. People need to date. People need to get engaged. That is ultimately how we get clients. They have to be engaged. They want to get married. They start hiring wedding vendors. Now, COVID taught us really quickly that people really kind of stopped dating because they were, shelter in place, so they couldn't date. So we really had a huge gap in people getting engaged because they weren't dating. It's very important to the wedding industry. They have to date, they have to find their person, and they have to get engaged. But here's the kicker for the wedding industry. We have no idea when these people will date and when they will get engaged. It's really a crapshoot. We can't anticipate. We know our selling cycles. We know that people will start getting engaged around Thanksgiving and go all the way until New Year's. And then there's a brief pause. And then we have Valentine's Day. And then we're really paused until about college graduation time. And then we have to wait until Thanksgiving. So we have 3 sales cycles that we know about, but we don't know the who. And we don't know the when. So we just wait. But once they are your client as a wedding vendor, they most likely will not ever hire you again. So we lack the opportunity to have repeat business because whatever they just invested in for you as their wedding vendor, it is unlikely that they will have the same kind of funds in the future to hire you again. So there is little to no repeat business in the wedding industry. And there's really a lack of relationship building for most wedding vendors. And trust building is so incredibly important to be a brand. So you don't get the opportunity to really build relationships and build trust that is so incredibly important to thrive as a business. Now, as a wedding vendor, relationships are forged with other vendors, but even that has its downsides. I lost my entire friend group a few years ago, and all of those connections that I had, had I just had all my eggs into that friend group and them sending me business or their individual wedding businesses referring me, I would have been basically up Schitt's Creek. So that just adds a whole nother level of, oh my gosh, this is a really hard industry to be in. So as a wedding rental company, and I don't really classify myself as that anymore because of how I have been able to pivot, but as a wedding rental company, I needed to cast a much wider net. People who are already married, but have friends that are going to get married, businesses that want to create experiences for their people, whether it is their customers or their own employees or their vendor partners, and people that want to host beautiful gatherings. That needed to be my net for my rental company. It couldn't just be about weddings. So the wedding industry is very, very narrow, and I knew quite quickly that I needed that wider net. And if I had only focused on my initial niche, I would have been stuck. If I were to hold my focus there, I would never be on other people's radar. And just as a quick side note, your core values do really matter in building a brand. My work ethic and how I present myself to other people is what has also given me business. So I want to just hold that as an aside. And really, if you're struggling with who do I even want to, sell to? Who is my ideal customer? What are my core values? What should be the heartbeat of my business, of my brand? What should I create my brand around? I want you to buy my workbook. Because, and I know that's a hard pitch, but I want you to buy my workbook that will help you figure all of this out. Go to bossgirlcreative.com/pillars book. It's pillars with an S. This book is how to build a business that works for you. And it has literally been my guide post to how I have built Sugar Creek the way I have built Sugar Creek. And Sugar Creek is standing on its own legs, regardless of the things that have come my way that have literally made me be like, wow, that sucked. Because I was intentional about building a solid foundation that has purpose. And that also is what makes a strong brand. So, are you starting to feel the shift as to why business needs to be more than just a business? Question for you. And I want you to think about how you would answer if I were to ask you this face to face. Can you tell me, without a shadow of a doubt, that you're going to be doing the same exact thing that you're doing today, a year from now, or maybe 5 years from now, or even 10? Can you boldly state, Taylor, yes, this is exactly what I'm going to be doing 5 years from now, heck, even 10 years from now? When you build a brand, not just a business, it allows you to pivot. Pivoting is crucial as a business owner. How else can a Texas girl grow a multitude of businesses that allows her to share her stories each week behind a microphone, get hired for some really cool events, to teach to the masses, to have a top podcast, to buy investment property, to build a barn dominium hangar house? How else could I do that if I didn't have a brand that also allowed me to make pivots when I needed to? If I was just wedding rentals, none of that would be possible. But I'm not just that. I am Taylor Bradford. I'm a human. I have a real beating heart. I read everybody's comments. I read the reviews. I want to be a good servant to the land that I own. I want to be a good teacher to the people who want to learn from me. My purpose is so much bigger and deeper than just wedding rentals. I want to show up daily to inspire you to be successful, and I want to be the vessel that allows you to connect with other humans in a way that fosters relationships and encourages experiences. You've heard me talk about your True 1000 fans in the past, and I truly think that this needs to be something that you hold in your heart as you are doing this thing. You're building this brand. Your True 1000 fans are the diehards that will buy anything and everything that you offer. To be successful as a creator, you don't need millions. You don't need millions of dollars, and you definitely don't need millions of customers or clients. You just need 1,000 true fans. So what would it look like for you to have 10 true fans, and then 100 true fans, and then 1,000 true fans? Heck, if I look on my Instagram, my personal Instagram has like over 3,000 people following me. I don't know if all of them are active or not. I have over time gone in and deleted the robots and deleted the creepy men and checked to see if profiles are still active, because obviously I can't sell to dead air, but I do pay attention to that. Sugar Creek is nearing 5,100 people following. Boss Girl Creative's Instagram is around the 800 mark. You don't need millions. You don't need millions. You just need the true fans, and you need to cultivate the true fans. So what would it look like for you to have those true fans? I want you to remember that table analogy from last week. Nurture the community you have already built and turn them into your true fans. Because again, a true fan will buy anything you produce. The hardback version, the paperback version, the Kindle version, the audio version of your book. They'll show up to all of your events. They will share unabashedly with their friends and family. These super fans will help you make a living because they have found value in you that means something to them. So how many super fans will it take for you to make the living that you want? Is it 10 clients a year? Is it 20 clients a year? What is the number for you? And when you have that number, now what I want you to think about is, how can you be the right fit for that number of people each year? And what kind of stress will be released once you realize you only have to be the right fit for that amount of people? So who are you speaking to currently? And how can you refine that to just those amount of people? How can you refine that personality and voice for your brand so that those 20 people, if that's your number, see you and say without any doubt, this girl is for me. You need to speak so clearly into the heart of your dream client that they know you are the match for them. When you can do that, your job becomes so much easier and the stress just melts away. So that's reason number 1 as to why you need to shift your focus to adding personality and voice to your business by building a brand. Reason number 2 that makes brands different from being just a business is your impact. It can be so much bigger with having a voice that can be the megaphone for your business, that has heart and personality. Since we are eerily close to 2025, it only makes sense to think about this from that lens. What is your big 2025 goal? If it's focused on impact, if it's rooted on impact, then you are going to open the door for so much more for yourself and your people. Focus on impact and the rest will follow. Give your brand a heart, give your brand personality, give your brand a vision and a mission far beyond what you actually offer. Reason number 3, brands earn their ability to sell. How can you serve so that when it comes time to sell, you have earned the right to do that? If you haven't read Gary Vee's book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, it is all about this. Serve, and then sell. Businesses assume they have the right to sell every hour, but they haven't earned that right because there's no heart and personality driving their messages. When businesses are just focused on selling and not figuring out what and who they are as a brand, they haven't earned the right to sell. Never forget that you are so much more than what you're selling, and you owe it to your audience to share that. You are so much more valuable. You have so much to offer. You have so much more to create connection with that, and a brand is going to be the vehicle and the vessel for you to do that. If you want a true brand, it's time to figure out what the voice is, what the personality is behind what you are selling, and how you can communicate that so clearly that when your dream clients, they land on your stuff, they're like, yep, this person is for me. I need this in every color that they have. I know that you are going to find true success when you shift your mindset to become a true brand, one that has heart and personality, that leads with impact and purpose, and that serves over selling, because that is what attracts your true 1,000 fans. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. As always, I love being in your ear, and it is such a joy to be able to serve you in your businesses and your lives each week. And if this podcast has done absolutely anything for you, if it's meant something to you or taught you something or been something that has just served as inspiration in your life, would you just take a moment to go rate and review my show in the listening app of your choice? And if you are on the fence of like what listening app you should be listening to, pop over to bossgirlcreative.com/listen. And this is going to allow you to pick from an app list of ways to listen to my show. And I would honestly really appreciate if you wouldn't listen through Apple Podcasts. Like, shh, don't tell them that. But they have really hurt my podcast. And I would love for you to be listening through somewhere else, which you can do very easily through bossgirlcreative.com/listen. Just pick a different one. And go in there and rate and review or leave a comment or heart it or subscribe or follow, whatever the lingo is within that app. I so appreciate you if you will do this for me. These things mean so much. And I know in seasons of hard, I go looking for pieces of joy that come from you as a listener of the show. So I so appreciate you listening, that you're tuning in, that you're just taking in what it is that I bring each week. And I just so appreciate that. Until next time, I hope you have a great rest of this week. Hey, real quick before I go, I wanted to pop back in and say again, thank you so much for listening to this latest episode of the Purposely Aligned Entrepreneur Podcast. I would so love a favor from you right now. Would you please share this episode with a friend or share it to your social media and tag me at Boss Girl Creative? Oh my gosh, that would mean so much to me if you did that right now. Okay, I'll see you next week with a brand new episode.